Okay, so last time we started playing the Curse of Fey, you found yourselves coming to the conclusion of a fight between Kane Bula and a very obnoxious Scarwood guard, an Owlin who had been quite rude, quite not very welcoming, especially to strangers, and people that he considered beneath him, essentially. And Bula, not wanting to let that slide, engaged or started some engagement in a little bit of, how do we say, touching things that were not supposed to be touched by common mortals' hands. And touching the sacred tree in town was one of the things the Owlin had asked you specifically not to do, and then you attempted to do that. So unfortunately, a slight battle started to take place. However, I can't really call it a battle because the combination of skills by Kane and Bula left this Owlin pretty much disarmed and in the grip vice of Bula for several rounds, unable to get away and unrelenting or able to say sorry to these two people. It became a bit of a standoff at that point, with Bula every now and again headbutting this creature. One thing you noticed, Bula and to some extent Kane as well, was that when you did headbutt this creature that appeared as an Owlin guard, it was slightly different. When you did headbutt it, it didn't feel right. You would expect that the feathered head of this creature would be softer, or at least, it would have been showed signs of being attacked. In fact, you did feel a little bit of something wet, like on your forehead, which could have been blood, but there was no blood representation on this creature that you'd headbutt. However, before things got completely out of hand, something came over Bula, and then over Kane at a lesser point. And for some reason, all memory of Kane left Bula's head, and she was unable to recognize them. Do you know that they sort of traveled together? In recent times, knew that they were part of this argument as well, but didn't really have that connection to them, the friendship that they'd had previously, because it had been erased somehow from their memory. And then shortly after, Kane also suffered with a similar effect that rendered them unable to remember Bula. This causing a little bit of confusion to both of them, ultimately leading to the Owlin eventually being able to get free of Bula's vice-like grip, and trying to defend himself, but ultimately blowing a horn and summoning more guards to try and take you on. The party at that point was split, with the rest of the group just leaving the bar at the southernmost point of the town. After Kane decided to disengage from this conflict and heading in a southerly direction, Bula deciding to escape, run off down in a different direction of the path. Other guards eventually came in and were able to, I won't say stop, because I don't think we got that far in you trying to escape, but they were sort of like corralled you all back together again, with Kane basically being to the point of being manacled, or just before being manacled by these guards who were going to essentially arrest you for breaking what they considered the laws. However, the rest of the party were able to intercede at this point, led by a new friend that they've met. Does anyone remember their name?
I should, but I'm terrible with names.
Johan Eresti.
Yeah.
Yes, Johan Eresti, who is, that you've come to understand, is the son of the former Burgermeister or mayor of this town. And having seen this sort of altercation happening, the rest of the party were able to get there, led by Johann, and he asserted his authority at this point, seemingly able to talk down this guard, and not without some sort of unpleasantry between the two of them. There was obviously a very uneasy what's the word? An uneasy feeling between the two of them. Like, whatever the relationship is, it's not friends. It's not like they get on very well, but there's some sort of rapport there that is happening at the moment, which it seems to be necessary, and even to the point where it was clear that Johann was very displeased with some of the comments that the Owlin were making. However, the Owlin did relent, making it clear that Johann, as the effective new mayor of the town, had the jurisdiction there, let Bula and Kane go into his custody, and then as you left, I think made some comment to Moira, somewhere in the realms of kind of eating her if if they cross paths again in the future. So after this altercation, and the main reason for the party leaving the pub in the first place was to go and offer help with Johann's sister, Sahana, who he informed to you had been bitten by some creature, and was apparently languishing and dying. He'd obviously asked other people for help in the past, but no one could help. He was looking, somebody with great healing powers. But several members of the party offered their skills, and he was grateful for you to at least try. He took you, after this altercation, through the town. You went through a small market area in the centre of the town, and then were led north towards the edge of Lancashorn, and where you found a slightly larger estate than some of the smaller houses that you had seen previously. It was clear from seeing this place from the outside for the first time that indeed some creature very large had smashed down the main gates of this place, had ripped up the cobblestone floor going into the courtyard of this area, and had drawn its claws all the way down the door and the side of this building before what looked like being smashing through one of the windows to gain entry. In fact, there were lots of boards across the windows that were stopping people from peering in or getting in at that point. And you heard from inside the voice of Sahana, who initially thought perhaps it was some of the guards coming to harass her, but luckily with being with Johann, he was able to let his sister know that it was for friends, and that you were all coming in to help. On entering the building, Johann went to have a little rest, having had quite a heavy night of drinking the night before, and not being in the best mind currently, needing to relax and kind of sober up a little bit more. So you had a conversation with his sister, who I think most people were thinking that from the description, she would be basically on death's door, but she appeared to be quite friendly, quite happy, getting around the place. She did show you a very large, very deep wound, a bite mark on her arm that had left some very deep, penetrating, like holes almost in her arm as well. But it didn't seem to be, from investigations you've done, that it was diseased in any way. Was it disease you were looking for? I can't remember now what it was exactly you were looking into it. But I think you tested for sort of good and evil and various things to try and ascertain if there was any sort of danger from this. There wasn't anything particularly that anyone found, apart from Moira, who did discover on a second look that this bite mark was actually 2 bites. It did look very, very wide initially, that it could have been something enormous, and that with something with that kind of size bite would have easily been able to snap her arm completely off. But yes, it did turn out that it was 2 bites, to which Johann was displeased to find out that she'd actually been bitten twice. He only thought it would have been once, and it turned out that whatever this creature had bitten her several days, few days, week maybe prior, that he had not been told about. In the middle of the living area of this house, you also notice that the body of Sahana and Johan's their father was in a makeshift coffin, basically laying on a table in the center of the room. This is from the letter that you found earlier. You remember this is Borhan Erestri, who was the prior mayor of this town, Burgermeister, who had written a letter that you'd found on coming to this land at the beginning, that again stated that his daughter had been bitten, that she was dying, and that this world was basically cursed and that it should be shut off from the rest of the world. You're not quite sure who the individual was that you found this letter on, who they were and how they relate to things that have happened so far, being that it was some kind of bear creature that had this letter in a knapsack, but they had been dispatched by some ghoulish creatures before you could have got any answers for them. Their father had been, as far as you can tell, been killed by this beast when it had attacked the home. And one other person who was there that was now currently missing was another figure who is... Let me find the information. Yes, there was another fawn that their father, Borhan, had begun or recently begun a relationship with, and was getting to the point with his, increasing age, who wanted to perhaps propose to her. It was suggested that he was going to take their relationship to a new level, and that he had invited his son and his daughter to be there. His son had decided he was busy doing something and wasn't able to be there, and that is the reason why he blames himself, because at that point the creature... does anyone know the name of the creature?
Chernobog?
Chernobog, exactly. This Chernobog creature attacked, and without his help, unfortunately, his father perished, his sister was bitten, and he doesn't know exactly what happened. No one seems to know exactly what happened to Leah. Leah Zavani was the fawn that their father had been starting a relationship with. She was at the house, but through the attack and the trauma that that had happened based on this, losing their father, Sahana couldn't remember exactly what had happened to them. Johan said that she might have run off when the beast ran off into the woods, but he had not seen her. They had looked, but they couldn't find her. But he seemed to think that she could have possibly just run off because of the attack and tried to get to safety, but he'd found no body or anything. So that is pretty much most of the information, I think. Unless there's anything that I may have missed out, if anyone wants to chirp in now.
Just a small cliffhanger.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's right. Yes, I forgot to mention that the
tiniest little cliffhanger.
Amnesia that Bula and Kane had been suffering from seemed to continue all during this period of time. And it was unclear to the rest of the party what happened and why they didn't quite remember themselves, and whether this is a permanent thing or not. However, at the very end of the last game, Bula made a comment that they could help out Johan, and referred to Kane, saying that they've been in tougher scrapes before. To the shock of everyone, for suddenly recognizing him again after completely blanking him for the most of the afternoon. And one other thing as well, it was made very clear that Johan does not like the Owlin Guard, but they serve a purpose, because they are essentially there to protect the village from any more attacks from the creature that had attacked them. And so there's an uneasy relationship there that the mayor needs them there to help protect the city, because he can't do it alone, but he doesn't like the power that they have there. And so I think he also commented towards the end that perhaps, it's time that they moved on. But they are reasonably powerful. They have a large number in the town, and to most people there, if they don't who live in the town, they may not like them, but they are necessary in case there are any other further attacks. But yes, Kane, what do you think about this half-orc who's just put their hand on your shoulder and talking to you as if they know you?
I think Kane is a little surprised. Up until now, he, as far as he knows, didn't know them and they didn't know him. And now they're acting very friendly and they seem to know his name all of a sudden. He's really quite surprised.
And Bula, having not been in the last session, unfortunately, it's not as if you like suddenly remember Kane. Like you're not aware of the fact that you had a period of time where you didn't recognize him. You just know who this person is. So there's no kind of residual sort of knowledge that this or feeling that, oh, I didn't know you for a minute ago. You don't realize it. It's not apparent to you. All you know is that, oh, Kane's here. Like it's almost like he didn't realize he was in the room until that point. So as you're having a chat with Johan and his sister, is there anything that you guys would like to do?
I sort of forgot what we were doing before. We just came out from with Johan, yeah?
So basically you're in the house at the moment with Johan and his sister Sahana. You had basically had a conversation with Sahana about this creature that had attacked. They told you about their father and Leah. And I think, basically at the end, it was a case that you had, after having a conversation with Johan and him telling you that he wasn't really happy with the owl in there, that perhaps you could help at some point, moving them on, shall we say. But that would require getting some of the town on board with that, and also perhaps solving the issue of this creature, making sure it wasn't a threat in the future. His main concern had been his sister, and after you had, several of you had attended to the bite and looked at it, other than knowing that this was actually 2 bites, not 1 bite, doesn't seem to be any residual effects or anything else, nothing life-threatening currently with this bite. It's just a very nasty wound with some deep puncture marks on the thing, which I think one of you did heal as well slightly. So it does look slightly better than it did before, but it is obvious that this bite has been that has pierced into the body.
I think I was gonna go and hand over the note that we found.
Right. Okay.
I sort of feel like the turns are all messed up because I don't know where we are. And I have like 5 million questions, and I don't know where to start.
Okay.
Panic.
So, go.
Yeah, Johan went in ahead. Yeah, and then Kane and I talked outside, and then we went. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sorry.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk up to Johan and hand him the letter. If that's okay. Nobody else wants to do anything.
Yeah, you can hand in the letter, sure. So he'll take the letter from you, and he'll have a read through it.
I'm gonna try and explain a little about where we found it. Try and describe the bear creature.
Okay.
But my player self doesn't remember much.
So you remember that essentially the letter was in a knapsack or saddlebags of that you found on this or a messenger bag from this bear creature. The bear themselves they weren't like a traditional bear. They had more sort of elongated. It looked like legs that they would be more bipedal rather than walking on all fours. And they were wearing a cloak and had a hat. So very different from bears that you had seen probably in the woods back in the mortal plane. So that kind of information you would have got. And of course, unfortunately, they were attacked before you were able to ask them anything or being able to talk to them. They'd recently passed away. So, but if you hand the letter to Johan, he will look at it and read through, and you'll see as he reads it, he scowls at the letter as he goes through, and
as you can see, there's something. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't match up. Why would he write this before? I don't. It doesn't make sense.
he sort of, you see him reading through it over a couple of times, trying to make sense of it. And he says, "This does not make sense to me either. This is clearly my father's hand, but things that it says here, as far as I knew, he always respected the princess. I had no idea he felt this badly about our world, and it seems like he was at his wit's end, but this is not the same man that I know. My father was always very happy and very content, even more so with the finding Leah recently, but this is bizarre. I do not know. I understand now why this must have been from when, as Sahana said, she was bitten previously, but it seems to suggest that she is dying. But although I knew she was badly injured from the bite, she did not think she was in any mortal danger, at least not immediately. It is weird. It does look like his hand, but it sounds very much like he had given up hope, but I do not understand why.
Did anything happen before the attack? Did his mood seem changed?
No,
I'm gonna
I
look
mean,
over to sister as well.
so he'll just say, as far as I know, he was happy. There was nothing to suggest that he was not. He was in good spirits the morning before he died. And Sahana will just, is she looking at her father's face, and she'll look up and say, he was concerned about me, and I think he said before he died that he knew something was after him or us, perhaps our family. I am not sure, but he told me to keep this information the first bite from Johan. I didn't know why, but he said he did not want him to know. I assumed it was just to stop him from running off into the woods to kill the beast and in anger, but was strange. It was almost as if he did not want the creature to be found. It's hard to say, but Johan will have passed the letter to her as well, and she'll look at it. And this does seem to be his writing. As far as I know, he was just happy to be with Leah, and I assumed he was going to ask Leah to marry him. It is confusing. I'm not quite sure.
Is there any chance that he might actually know or had known who this creature actually is? In case the creature doesn't have a permanent form.
She looks at you quizzically for a second and says, who they are? I do not understand. It was a creature, a beast. It was not a person. Unless you believe they were some sort of shapeshifter of some sort? If this is true, then my father never said.
Is this possible? Are there creatures like this here?
Not that I have met, but there are stories, and Johan will butt in and say, there are creatures in these woods that have not been here before. When we were part of the bigger Feywild, they were creatures that were dangerous, yes, but not killers. These creatures seem to have purpose. Other beasts that I've seen. This now that we are cut off, there are creatures here that I have never seen before. There are things that I have never seen before or witnessed. People tell stories of creatures hiding in the forest that were not here present. Some say this has something to do with the princess herself and her languishing in her castle. As far as I'm concerned, we are somewhat in a cursed land until this part of the Feywild is reunited with the rest. Perhaps it is some kind of punishment, I do not know, but creatures that change, I have heard stories of these before, of course. There are creatures known as werewolves, were creatures that supposedly have two forms, but it is not something, at least not something that has come to this town before. If this creature is similar to this, and they have another form, I do not know how we would find them. Not unless they look like this beast.
Just standing, taking everything in, trying to work out what to do. Looking around at the others.
While this conversation was happening, Moira would have been kind of looking between Bula and Kane like, wait a minute, you remember now? Are you okay, Bula? Are you okay? You're yourself again?
Bula's gonna kind of just very confusingly look at Moira. She's not even sure she has a question here because she doesn't understand what she's being asked. It seems very wrong. So she's just seeing the most blank, confused face ever.
Kane?
Yes.
Are you still weird?
define weird.
Do you remember? Do you remember her? And I point to Bula.
I remember her 5 minutes ago when she was getting herself in trouble. Nothing more than that.
Oh
At this
dear.
point, even Bola's gonna look at him a bit like upset now.
I guess Kane's gonna look over at this, strange but pretty half orc that's been traveling with us, kind of like, "What- why are you looking at me like that?"
You don't remember me?
Should I?
Yes. Yes, you should.
I remember you getting yourself in trouble. I don't remember exactly when we picked you up.
Picked me up? We've been together for years.
That Owlin must have given you a real blow to the head, I'm afraid. I've only met you today.
Okay. Uh, so Bula, I don't know what's happened, but the weird thing here is that both of you had suddenly forgotten about each other, and now all of a sudden you remember Kane, but Kane still does not remember. I don't know what's happening.
But I never forgot Kane. I've known him my whole life, it feels.
Well, now I am even more confused. But since the thing happened to have worn off on you and you look to be back to normal, I'm sure that uh, Kane is gonna get better soon. Yes. And Moira just kind of looks at Bula with the most uncertain smile you have ever seen.
Bula's gonna just nod slightly and then walk up to Ken, and confusingly to everyone else, she is going to like grab a little bit of his hair and shake his head gently. As if to get him to like remember her.
What are you?
Yes, shake the
What are you
memories.
doing?
I'm making you remember me. I don't know how this works, so I'll make you remember me, Kane. And she's gonna shake him a bit more roughly now.
This is what got you in trouble the first time. This, assaulting people. Look, I hope my memories do return, because this is getting quite barbaric.
She's gonna kind of sulk a little bit, let go of his hair, and just pat him on the head, and then turn away and cross her arms, and she just looks very angry. Like full on pouting is going on now, and that's all you see from this big barbarian girl.
Okay. So while you're having this conversation, Sahana and her brother will be sort of discussing between themselves about the letter and stuff, and still confused about what it means or why their father was talking in such desperate terms, especially considering that the last memory they have of him was very different. He seemed to be very calm and even happy, but to have written some letter like that, seems out of place by him. And then Johan turns to the rest of you and says, "Forgive me, I've been out of sorts recently. My manners escape me. But can I offer you a place to stay? I have graciously to help my sister, and the least I can do is offer you a room and board while you are here in Wakeshawn. I apologize for the treatment you have received so far from the guard, and I will seek out their captain and perhaps have a word with them and see if I can make sure that you are not on their radar, but I would advise you while you're here to try to keep out of their way if possible."
I mean, if you wanted to take your town back and maybe needed that show of force that you said, we can look big.
It is true that this is something I would like to do. However, I must put personal feelings aside for the good of the village. Whatever my own feelings, and even if they are shared by many people, the truth is, this beast that attacked, there is no knowing if it will attack again. And I was unable to stop it by myself. We need the guard here, unfortunately, to make sure the town is defended. We have no soldiers or guards of our own. We have never needed them. No matter how I despise them, they serve a purpose. However, I agree that they're becoming bolder and more of troublesome, especially when it comes to the running of the town. They seem to want to take more control from my family. I will not make it easy for them, but unless we can get the majority of the town on board to perhaps either defend our town or to raise enough animosity to them to be able to force them out, I see little chance of doing that.
Okay.
Even if you are willing to help, that is most appreciated, but unfortunately your small group is not enough. We would need more. They have quite the number.
Okay. So, we find the bear. We sort that out. We kick out the owls, and we go and take your tree back, and maybe you could let us into there as well. Eventually.
If you can achieve all of this, then I will gladly allow you access to the tree.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having access to it myself.
We can do that. It's fine. If this is what it takes, we can do this. We can do this, right?
He smiles and he nods graciously towards you and puts his hands on both of his weapons that he has on his belt, and he says, "It is good to know people of action have come to this town. Too many people sit and watch from the sidelines waiting for somebody else to act. I myself am a man who likes to make sure that things are done."
I can't just sit and do nothing. I need to get back.
You mean to get back to where you're from?
Yes.
This may be harder.
No, it's just one step after another. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Every journey starts with a single step.
See? Exactly. Exactly. Galate is just looking more and more frantic now.
Moira,
Go on.
Moira is gonna step forward, and if they will let me, Moira would take Galatia's hand, kind of just like, "You're okay, you're okay."
Ooh, flinch.
But are they gonna let me?
Probably not.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
sort of reaction will be to flinch away from that. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No, you're okay. You're okay. We're okay. You're okay.
Yeah, we just need to do this thing. Yeah, we will find the bear, and then we'll get the owls out. We'll get into the tree, and we'll see what's there, and we can do things. We can do things.
We'll figure
suggest that-
things out, and we'll get home. We'll go back home.
Yeah.
You're okay. We're okay.
I suggest we focus on one task at a time. Since we know where the Owlins are, I suggest that we start with them, since we don't know anything really about the bear. Johan, would you mind telling me if you know? I guess a lot of people in this town don't like the Owlins, but do you know who, besides yourself, actually has influence in the town, who actually would help rallying people if we can convince them to stand up?
Well, my sister and I are, I suppose, the figureheads of this town, so we carry some weight with it. However, the majority of people here are disheartened from not only the many years that we have been cut off from the rest of the Feywild, from their families from other places, but in recent times, many of the people here have become saddened by the loss of the work, specifically the wood mill that my father helped create. It has caused much stress for people here, loss of jobs, being not able to travel through the woods they once did. It has almost made them feel like claustrophobic, being trapped in this town. People have left, but many have not returned, and without something to do, I feel the people here have lost hope until things become safer. So it would be a hard sell to tell the people that the Scarwood God, who have always been someone that we can call upon to keep us safe in hard times, to tell them that they need to leave, no matter how annoying and pushy that they can be. It would be difficult to get them on side unless they had something to focus on something to live for, something to make them not so reliant on these people. As it is, I would imagine I would be able to run things here as my father did with my sister very easily, but could I protect the whole village from this attack, this creature? Not on my own. If we were to raise the morale, I suppose, of this town, perhaps we would be able to take back the town, and we would no longer need this guard here, and people would be more likely to assist us in removing them from the town.
I may take the word of my older sister, actually, from back home, one should never underestimate the working class. You have a lot of woodworkers here. One should never underestimate how strong cutting wood actually gets you. And I would say, to motivate them, what if one thing to motivate them would be taking back something that they lost, like the tree? Taking that back, like reclaiming the town, getting the tree back to rally under. Build yourself a tiny militia in case things come back. You have tools, you just need something to guide you. And when people are lost like this, someone needs to step up to be the first guiding light. And I guess we will have to be that in this scenario.
He is quiet for a moment and thinks. It is true. I do not mean that the workers here are weak. I am sure they would rally around. And if a gesture, as you say, would motivate them to stand and fight against the Scarlet God, I am sure that this would give them the push that we need. However, I do not think they would rally perhaps behind the tree itself. However, if you were able to accomplish something like gaining access or reinvigorating the new mill, getting people back to work, knowing they have jobs, knowing they are able to once again go into the forest, perhaps this would be enough to allow them to feel as if they had a future. It would be enough to rally them together to be able to stand and fight. At the moment, they are despondent. They do not have the will. But even if I were to stand up and tell them, I feel like it would fall on deaf ears currently.
That's what we do then.
If you wish to talk to any of there are many of them, but if you wish to talk to any of the woodworkers or lumberjacks, perhaps get more information about the mill itself, or to find out exactly why the mill is out of action, perhaps you would seek them out in the tavern, or perhaps even somewhere in town. People gather for the Many Moons market. There are often many people there, but usually, like myself, you will find many people who are despondent, languishing in the bottom of a tankard.
Galatea is just gonna nod a little and just sort of excuse themselves and go outside.
I think Bula will actually follow Galatea because she's still sulking at Ken.
Okay.
She's just standing outside, hyperventilating. Get the mill, get the bear, the owls, get the tree, mill, bear, owl, tree, mill, bear, owl, tree, mill.
So mill, bear, owl, tree.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
We can do this, right?
Even if we can't, we're gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You got my support the whole way. And being dumb.
Yeah,
Need
I
something
mean,
to look at.
you
Why not
you
help
both
you?
you both were a little for a while. I'm glad you're back. You, you're good. You. Galatea just sort of slumps down against the wall and just sits. Just looks like they're about to cry.
Bula, not being very good with emotions, is just gonna kind of look at her, nod, and go back in the building to corral everyone together to leave.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, what a great group we've got. So supportive of each other.
So as you stand out
Skills.
outside on your own, Galatea, in the fine drizzle that still comes down from the sky, probably masking any tears as you're sitting there. You can look out and see it's a little way outside with the fence, but you see other houses out there in the town, and various people going about their day-to-day lives. A mix of fawns, satyrs, and the occasional furbog. Many children as well running around. They seem to be the children, especially, seem to be carefree, happy playing, running around, not a care in the world. But you definitely see a lot of the other adults, mainly people who are sweeping their verandas, who are tidying up around the outside, maybe doing some gardening, but a lot of other characters who seem to either just be sitting idly or just looking like they have nothing to do, like just very despondent people sitting on their porches looking out into the dim sky, as if they have no real purpose, nothing to really do with their time. And you get the sort of feeling that this, although very nice looking village, there's not a lot happening. Like you'd expect it to be busy, or this isn't like a retirement village where people would just be sitting on their porches and in the golden years of their lives. These are middle-aged people, younger adults, and things like that just seem to be letting the time go past and not able to do and not happy about it. Just very dour feeling from this village currently. So not really cheering you up.
Yeah, no, Galatea just completely breaks down now. Just sat crying.
So while you're doing that, inside the house, Sahana will approach Moira and say, "It was very kind of you to come here to help try and heal my wounds and to take care of me. I feel fine, although my hand is a little bit stiff. It is much better. So thank you very much. Do you have you spent long learning medicines and things?"
Quite a while. I was a cleric in back home, and yes.
She'll smile and put a hand on your shoulder and say, "Well, it is good to know that although I am sad that you are now trapped here with us, that you have skills where you are able to help. We have had similar groups come through and that were not as kind as you. Were not able to stick around and help. So it is nice to have some some of you come here and spend some time. My father did speak to a few of the people who last came through, but he could not convince them to help out around town. They were more interested in trying to get themselves back home again. If there is anything that you need, and she turns to the rest of you, if any of you need anything, please, we would be more than happy to help you. Perhaps some information on the village or the area. Obviously, if you have come here recently, you will not know the layout of the land. We can advise you somewhat. The land has been split from the main part of the Feywild, but we know a certain amount about at least the immediate area. At the very least, we have a place, many rooms in this large house that you are welcome to stay in.
I understand that you don't remember much of the previous attack, but you wouldn't happen to have any inkling on like the direction in which the beast ran away?
As far as I know, my brother said he chased it to the north, into the forest. Where it went from there, I cannot say.
Okay, so north. It's at least a direction.
It is. The creature did seem to be loitering around this area. Is the first time I had a run-in with it. It was very close behind our building when I was in the garden, and that is where it bit me the first time. But it has been several nights since, and I have not seen it. It has not come back. So I don't know if it got what it wanted or whether it was just chased off and it will come back. So, what are you doing as a party? What is your next move, everyone?
Panicking. Personally.
Understandable.
I think that Kane would like to chase after Galatea purely because they'd kind of formulated the plan about the letter together, and he wants to go and see what their opinion was of sort of how that went.
You just find them in a puddle of tears. Not that you could tell, just like wailing outside. Sat up against the wall.
While you've been crying, are you crying loudly or to yourself, or how's?
Oh yeah, no, definitely, like quite loudly. Just
Quite loudly.
like helpless, full on.
There'll probably be a few of the children that were running around outside that hear you crying, and they probably just poking their heads around the entrance with the fences, with the broken doors, and just sort of staring and looking at you. And
Yeah,
probably
I don't think they can see anything at the moment. It's just all tears.
Sure, but you're standing out on the veranda outside, so they're looking in through the gate into the cold courtyard area. They can just hear you like crying essentially. So you see some concerned children's faces sort of just poking around the edges, and if you happen to look that way or anything, they'll probably drop behind, not wanting to be seen, but just concerned hearing somebody else who obviously is upset and curious as to why.
Yeah. Yeah, Galatea is just out of it, just in their own world.
I think Kane will approach, not exactly in a hurry, but maybe a bit faster than a walk, seeing what kind of state Galatea is in.
Is he gonna say anything? Because I don't think they know that he's there.
He's kind of waiting to see if the children disperse, but it seems like they're all too concerned, so he'll turn to them and say, "Excuse me, children. Please let me attend to this person. I know them. I'll try and help with their distress."
They're about like 20 feet away down the path, like by the fence. But they sort of, as you sort of like say that and wave them, they sort of disappear off and run back up to their houses.
I will extend a hand out to Galatea so that they can help themselves up.
Galatea sort of pauses a little and then just reaching up a little bit towards the hand, stops again and starts crying and just flops back down. There seems to be a lot going on in the head at the moment.
Strangely, halfway through sort of your hand extending out to reach up to Kane, Kane's hand seems to falter as well, and you just see this strange look glaze over his eyes. He looks at you. He sees that you're crying and you're sad, but he almost looks preoccupied at this moment as he looks at you and he says, "Wait a minute. Where's Bula?"
Galatea looks up and stops. You know her?
Of course I do.
She's inside.
Okay, well, at least now I know that she's okay. It's like she's vanished for hours.
Yeah, she's okay. It's just babble now. More crying.
Okay. Well, it's good to know that she's okay, but I should really I should focus on you now. And he'll squat down next to you. Maybe not sitting on the floor, not flopped, but he's kind of squatted so that he's at least reasonably at your level. And he just says, I understand why you're upset. You've got people waiting for you back home. I know the feeling. I miss my temple. I miss my people. I was lucky that I came here with someone that I know and I can trust. But think about how sweet it will be when you finally do manage to get back home and see those people again.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Yeah. We just need to. We 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 just need to do the mill, the bat, the owls, the tree.
I know it seems like a lot for one person, but there's 6 of us at least, and think of the great feats that we've managed to accomplish so far, not even knowing each other that well. Now that we're a real, I suppose, adventuring party, we have much more of a chance against the obstacles that might oppose us getting home.
Yeah. While he's saying this, it's like something clicks for them, and they just sort of stare at him. And nods slightly, calming down more. And I think the crying is mostly stopped now. Though their face is a mess. um. Yeah. We are, aren't we? Okay.
I think that when we manage to get out of this place, maybe we'll be able to call each other friends. After all, I'm not really used to having those, but when it comes to you people, you seem more than agreeable enough. Maybe we can stay in contact and continue to be a party even when we leave this grey and depressing place.
Yeah. 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 That would be nice. he, you know, I have one friend, and he told me to make more. I didn't expect it to be this way.
You might see a smirk kind of cut through the perma scowl that Kane seems to have on all the time, and he regards you with this kind of look of levity, and he says, "Yes, well, if you'd said to me that I was going to meet new people in an entirely different realm, I would have said that you need to finish your beer and go home. But here we are."
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that he'll extend the hand again for you and see if it works the second time.
Galatea will sort of try and stand up on their own, but that's not working. And they will actually take the hand this time. They seem a little bit sort of weaker, momentarily.
I think that Kane, maybe you can see that there's slight consideration of possibly giving you a hug, just a hug of reassurance, but he seems to falter at the thought and instead gives you kind of a pat on the back and says, there you go. Let's get back to the others. I must go see Bula again.
Yeah. And Galatea will follow him inside. Just as they reach the door, they'll grab his sleeve and just hold on for a minute and look at him and go, Thank you.
Kane kind of he doesn't make eye contact, but he does kind of smile and kind of grip the hand back and say, well, we've got to work as a team now. It's important. I'm glad that I could bring you back to your senses.
Yeah, so it's difficult because Galatea still not used to this other people holding their hand thing, but the little grip seems to do something, and they kind of do a little bit of a squeeze, and then let go.
Yeah, Kane will head back inside, unless everyone's already left.
Yep, not following.
So, yeah, during that time, while you're outside, just before you come back in, Johan has approached Tisvan and Amoros, and he goes over to a desk at the side of the room, picks up a couple of glasses and a decanter, and comes over to you two and says, "So, do you drink?"
Not often, but I wouldn't mind a drink after this whole mess.
Good. And he'll hand out a glass to you and one to Tisvan as well. I don't know if Tisvan will drink or not, but we'll assume that they're there along for the ride.
I think we would drink.
So he'll hand you a glass as well, and then he'll hold the decanter out and start filling your glass. This is one of my father's favorite drinks. It's quite strong, but a little bit is good to warm the soul. This might take the edge off finding out that you are now trapped in a cursed realm. And he'll just pour you a glass and turn to Tisvan and pour a similar amount, and then fill his own glass. So, tiefling, yes?
Yeah.
I have seen several tieflings have come through here before. None live in this village, but probably other places here on this ground. Cheers. And he holds up his glass for you to clink. And then he'll just neck.
Hold on a second. I'm just fighting a cat trying to bite my cords.
All right, no worries. And he'll just neck. He'll just neck the shot down.
For the record, I would clink.
Do a clink. Okay, cool. So clink, and he does the same for Tisvan if Tisvan would do that. And yeah, he just drinks it down in one gulp. And then he'll just turn back to you, Amoros, and say, so, do you have any plans now that you are a member of the Feywild?
Well, I had plans to go to the Feywild, to be honest. Though, once I actually was here, I realized I didn't plan far enough to actually know where I wanted to go next. I'm looking for a few things. It's a bit of a personal matter.
Well, if it makes any difference, and no one who comes to the Feywild goes exactly where they want, unless they are from the Feywild originally. So your experience is pretty much everyone's experience of the Feywild the first time at least. And he'll pour himself another drink and take another shot. But as I say, if there's anything I can help you with, you have but to ask. You helped my sister, and If you are all planning to help the town, then that is more than I can ask.
I can only ask if either the name Irlai or Soifara brings you any name to memory.
Illa. I feel like I have heard this name before. Let me think. And he'll start pouring himself another drink. And he'll offer you another one if you want. Have you drunk the one that you've got?
I've drunken it, and that is kind of the reason why Emma's
Alright.
lips are getting slightly loose on this.
So yeah, when you drank this liquid, it's a very dark purple liquid. It has a aroma of kind of black currant to it. But as soon as did you just neck it or did you sip it?
He didn't knack it as much as slowly enjoy it, but by the time we reached this point, he would have finished that glass, yes.
Right. So yeah, so when you drink it, immediately you get this hot burning sensation down the back of your throat, running down into your chest. It's a very high alcohol content into this liqueur almost that he's giving you to drink. It's very nice. It has a very this black currant flavor to it as well. It's sweet but not too much, and you get this nice sort of almost sort of like it's sort of coating your throat as it goes down, and this sort of burning, this warmth in your chest feels very pleasant. And he'll look and say, there is I don't know if it is relevant or not. I seem to remember a place with a similar name somewhere. It's difficult. I have not traveled too far away from the town. It is always required my attention. However, I seem to remember a place like, I don't know if it is a hamlet or a castle, some ruin called Eli Castle, Eli Place, somewhere north of here. It may not be relevant, it may not be the same thing, but Eli Fort, Eli Castle, something like this. Is this a relative of some sort?
It's potentially part of my family's history. So I don't know much of my family's history, but if I can find this place, then I hope that maybe I can find out more. So if you actually can mark it on a map or something, if there even is a map.
He smiles as he takes a map. Yes, you have not been to the Feywild many times before.
I kind of got that feeling.
And he'll say this the travel here you will find much more difficult than perhaps you have on the mortal plane. I would say your best bet is with a guide of some kind if you wish to get safely from one place to another, especially now that the forests are full of creatures and beasts that I'm sure he'll sort of put his arm around, sort of with his glass pointing at the rest of the party. There's the rest of these people are more than capable of defending themselves.
That I can agree to. They know how to fight at least. But I will say, last time we tried to follow any form of guiding light, we ended up having to fight panthers.
And he raised an eyebrow when you say that. Guiding light, you mean the witch light?
At the mention of panthers, Moira like wherever Mora is at this moment is gonna be like, mm. Just kind of slouch, just like, I'm sorry.
He said the witch knights should have not caused you any problems. They are usually what we use to traverse the forest easily without getting lost. Are you sure that this was a witch light? The glowing orb about so big, and he sort of puts his hands out, showing you like a small sort of orb sort of shape. Glowing sort of purpley kind of color.
Sounds kind of like him.
You're sure this was not... there is a similar creature to this witchlight. What is one called? Wisps. Will wisps. You sure you did not confuse this? They are very similar in look.
How do you tell them apart?
Well, one is a ball of light. This is violet. The other one is a ball of light. That can be any color. Witch lights are usually only violet, or are only violet. But I can see how this could probably become an issue if the witch light happens to be the same color. So, if did this ball of light attack you?
Well, if I remember correctly, there were two balls, one attacking the upper, and I think we ended up separating them and following the one that got attacked. And that one led us to the Panthers as an ambush.
Very strange. I have not heard of this thing happen before, but I would suggest that whatever you followed was probably a will-o'-the-wisp, not a witchlight. The witchlight is like a guide of some sort. They are, well, people say they are the spirits of the dead that guide the living. There have been many more of them in recent years here, especially since we have been trapped in this limited part of the Feywild. But if you are attacked, then I would suggest that this is not a witchlight. This is a wisp of some kind. But you are here, you have survived, you are alive, so I guess you must have dispatched it without too much problem.
It was a little hard to hit, but we managed to get through at least. But just so before my mind gets a little too dulled, I'm not too used to alcohol per se. This is some very strong stuff. You said purple was for witchlight, which are the guiding ones, right? While the other ones could be any color, correct?
Yes, this is correct, and he'll be holding out the decanter again to pour you to top up your glass.
No, let's save the next drink for once we have reclaimed the town. All right? We're gonna have some left to celebrate with, right?
He'll nod and he'll say, very well, probably enough for the early morning anyway. And he'll just put the stopper back in the decanter and put it back on the side and just finish the third shot that he's had. But yes, to your point, the witchlight are purple, always violet purple, and witchlight, the wisps can be any color, but are usually balls of light as well. Very similar, probably, yes, confusing to untrained eye. But hopefully you took a note of what this one looked like when you were fighting.
It was a little bit hard to focus on exact shape in the middle of the fight. But
can-
now at least I know what to look for. So that is something that is very good to know, and I really appreciate the information, my good sir.
You are more than welcome. And he'll just pat you quite heavily with his hand on the shoulder. He's got quite a lot of strength there, and he'll just tap you on the shoulder. It is good, good to talk to someone new. You'll find this a lot here in town and possibly other places you travel to here, having been cut off from the rest of the Feywild, from anywhere really. Having talked with someone that you have not had the same conversation with multiple times gets tiresome, and a new face, a new voice is good for the soul.
A good conversation with a good friend is a good thing. But sometimes you need both a new good conversation as well as a new bad conversation to make you really appreciate the good ones.
Yes. You can see the conversation, the alcohol is starting to slightly make it harder for him to kind of focus on all the things you're saying at the moment, but he nods and says, yes, conversation is good.
They're both drunk, aren't they?
Roll me a constitution save, Amros.
Yeah, I was about to say, should I roll a constitution? Because I think Amros potentially would get drunk at this point. Ability check or saving throw?
It's a constitution saving throw. Oh, natural 20.
Of course I roll on that 20 on that.
Yeah. You feel the alcohol. You can feel the strength of the fire within you from this one. But having only had, would you only have the one or maybe 1.5 shots of this?
I would say it would be 1 1/3, almost done with the second glass.
Almost on the seven, yeah. Even so, yeah, you feel the warmth in your chest of having this alcohol, but you don't. It doesn't affect you as much as it seems to be affecting him currently. He's had like 3 or so at the moment as well in quick succession, and they seem to be like hitting now.
Still drunk from yesterday.
Yeah, with that,
I was about to point out he should still have a hangover.
Yeah, exactly.
Going.
He's added to that. It's sort of like he did the feeling of sobering up wasn't pleasurable, so he's sort of just added to that to kind of like push that back down again. But yeah, you made a stronger stuff, so you are able to handle your liquor and know when to say no, thank you. But he respects that as well. It's good. Yes, we'll have another drink, you and me together again, when we have sorted other things out around town. And I guess Kanan,
get the opportunity, I'll make sure to, if I manage to get home to our plane, and I manage to find a way to jump back and forth, I'll be sure to bring a bottle of my dad's spicy stuff, as he used to call it.
no,
That's something a little refreshing.
This is good. I would like that. And if you ever manage to find your way home and to your own world, please don't make it. Don't keep the information to yourself. If you manage to leave this place, there are many people here, including myself, who would like to leave and have tried many times before.
Thought didn't even cross my mind.
I think probably Kane and Galatea will have come back in during this time as well, and you'll all be in the living room of this lovely house.
Galatea looks sort of like they were upset and is now sort of sniffling a little bit and rubbing their eyes, but seems cheerful. and confused.
Kane kind of comes in what seems like not a rush, but he also seems like he's got frenzied eyes. He is kind of searching the room for Bula.
Does he see you, Bella?
Yeah, I think when she came back in, because everyone was so busy, she just kind of ended up in a corner, still sulking and thinking over the ordered plan that she had listened to Galatea give. Not sure how to do the plan, but wanting to do the plan, and just repeating those words, sulking with her arms crossed in the corner.
I think Kane will see that she's in the corner, seemingly upset. Having known her this long, he can kind of tell that something's wrong, and he'll sort of rush over, not pushing past people, but kind of nudging them out of the way so that he can get to her, and he'll kind of look at her and say questioningly, Bula, are you okay? What happened to you? Where have you been?
Bula is going to just look rather begrudgingly at him, in a very, very familiar face that he's seen a handful of times before, and she's going to hit him on the head and walk away.
Oh.
Though Kane sees it coming a mile away, he maintains posture and lets the hit happen. He kind of absorbs the blow as best he can, and he looks at her and he says, "Oh, it's good to know that you're okay."
She's not going to respond to this because she's walking away, though.
Galatea's looking even more confused.
And so, are you walking off further into the house, or it within the same room, just moving around, or?
She'll just walk to the other corner of the room.
Right. So the interior of this room, this actual open area, there's a corridor coming off of the main room, and it leads further back into the house, where you'll see that there are other offices, or an office to one side. There is another doors that lead into other rooms, and towards the back of the house there is what looks like some sort of more utility rooms with the basins and things like that now. And as you sort of walk a bit further down into the room, Sahana will sort of follow you as you go, and just say, "Oh, is there anything I can help you with? Are you looking for anything?"
She's brain, do the word thing. She's just gonna kind of shake her head. She's just kind of walking a bit aimlessly and angrily, and she doesn't look like she's intending to go in any specific room, despite walking away. She's just being angry and not knowing the layout very well, has walked in a random direction, and
Sahana would just be like following you in the case of like this stranger's just sort of walking through my house. So she's just kind of like, "Oh, if there's anything you want, the bedrooms are back here, and there is a washroom if you wish to tidy yourself up, or if you hungry, perhaps I can go into the kitchen there for something for you. But please make yourselves at home. And she'll point to the west of the house. There's a wall and there's a door there, and you say, "Oh, there are two spare bedrooms through this through the door there, one to the left and one to the right. If you wish to rest, or if you want some privacy."
Bula will kind of nod gently and say, "Thank you." And she will actually walk into one of the rooms that she pointed out that was empty, to sit and go through her bag and, come to peace in her mind again.
Okay, and the rooms that you go into there are very. This whole place was, as you notice from the outside, was well made. Like all the beams and things that are in this place are of a very fine quality, much better than a lot of the buildings that you'd seen outside. They're all fairly nice, but this has got sort of carved decorations in the beams and things, and it's just a higher grade. Probably because this is the home of the mayor of the house of the town. So it's just like a higher quality, or it's been made this way because of their standing within the town. But the room itself is fairly basic. It has a regular bed. It doesn't have a cupboard bed in this one. It has a normal, everyday sort of bed. It's like a double-sized bed. And there are cabinets and things around as well. But it doesn't look like this is more of like a guest room. Doesn't look like it's been used very often. And there is a little bit of a layer of dust in there. Obviously hasn't been used for quite some time, but it has the convenience of having a wash basin in the room as well itself, so you don't actually have to leave if you wish to wash up as well. But there is a main one that was pointed out to you or just off of the main hall.
She's just gonna sit in a relatively open space in the room, and pull her bag out and just rifle through it. Really, she doesn't need any of the other things.
Okay. And then as Sahana returns to the main room, as she passes you, Amros, and her brother, she will just take the decanter out of his hand and return it to the side, and she will just go back to sort of kneeling down by her father's coffin and just sort of like straighten his hat and sort of like tidy up the sort of his neck scarf, and just keep her hands busy and stuff like that, wanting to make sure that he looks his best before he is buried, or whatever ceremony they may perform here. And she will just look up whoever's there around and just say, "Do you have any idea of what you will do now that you are here?"
Well, I think the first step is to figure out the Chernobog situation.
Of course, if you are interested in following this, I suppose I meant, is there anything you need of the town? I assume you have arrived fairly recently, because I have not seen you here before, and my brother has obviously just brought you here from the bar he was at.
Yes, only what we think is a couple of days. Time seems to be a bit, As she kind of looks out the window to the sky, like, do you get much sun here at all?
Well, I mean, we do have sunlight, but it never is never fully shine. It is usually either twilight or moonlight we have here. I'm sorry, it must be very different from where you are from. You have a much brighter day. Is that true?
Yes, it is usually a bit uh, easier to tell what time of day it is. Uh, but with what to do in town, I personally am very interested in the apothecary. I heard that there's one in town with with herbs and stuff.
Oh yes, it is somewhere that I like to frequent myself. And she sort of fusses with absentmindedly with a small trowel or fork that hangs from her belt. I am quite an adept at the garden and very interested in using herbs and things like this as well. I must confess I am not a expert in any means, but yes, there is a place in town. It is called the Gardener's Salve. It is as you say, an apothecary of sorts. The person who runs it is very friendly. If there are anything you require or items or knowledge, I'm sure they would probably be able to help you out. Are you thinking more of a medicinal type?
Well, uh, mostly I'm interested in, uh, cause, well, I'm not familiar with the flora of this land, so I like to, uh, I'd like to be able to make potions on the road, like when we are on the road, and but as we are in an unfamiliar land with unfamiliar plants, I am uh, uncertain in my capabilities here.
Yes, there are many, probably many different flora and fauna here in the Feywild that you are not accustomed to. They would probably be the best place for you to go. Then yes, I'm sure Crimini can uh, advise you, maybe give you some information about things that you may find on your journey. I believe they are able to make salves and potions, perhaps. Perhaps they can teach you this.
That would be amazing.
Well, if you wish to find them, there is just beyond uh, the town square. There is you'll notice it is a market. You may have passed it on your way. Just to the south southwest is what is known as the, I suppose, the shopping district. There are several places there that you can purchase items. The apothecary is one. There are general stores though as well. So if you are looking for anything, I would advise that you go there. There is many things. Unfortunately, if you are looking for anything, there's probably nothing in your that you are seeking right now. But if you do not unfortunately find your way home, the the lumber mill here was at one time very busy, and many houses were built for people who were finding themselves here in the Feywild. Perhaps if you do end up staying, a house can be built for you and your friends, at least somewhere to stay while you are here.
A little at the mention of like the potential of having to stay and not be able to return home, there is like Moira's eyes just kind of turn distant, but pretty quickly shrugs it off and says, "Well, one must be open-minded to all possibilities, even though I'm sure you can understand that I think all of us would rather return home, but sometimes fate has its own plans."
This is very true. None of us here wanted or thought that we would ever be trapped in this part of the Feywild away from Feywild Greater, but we have become accustomed to living in this way, even if it is not what we had thought for ourselves. Unfortunately, without the princess, will be trapped here until the council is either forgive her or she renounces her love.
So, the apothecary, I am very interested. Moira kind of looks at Amaros. Does Amaros look okay?
I would say slightly light-footed, but he's doing his best to keep his balance.
And Moira determines this is better than nothing, and asks, Amaros?
Oh. Yeah. I'm good. What do you need, Moira?
I was wondering if you wouldn't mind accompanying me to the apothecary?
Yeah, I don't mind. Actually, that might be a good idea to ask if they know where I can get some spell components.
Oh, good idea.
Oh, another thing. Johan mentioned that there are two types of light we're able to look out for while we're in the Feywild. Witchfires are good kind of tiny spirits that looks like a ball of light that are always purple. The other ones that can be in any kind of color are very often wisps, which are very mischievous.
Oh. Okay.
I'm gonna bring this up to everyone. It just brought to mind that yes, I need to tell everyone about this.
Yeah, that might be.
Better be prepared.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Just as you finish telling everyone that's in the room with you about the wisp things, Bula is gonna come charging out of the room that she was in, brandishing a kind of crumpled little stack of cards with a hole through the center of them. And she's gonna be just looking around we have a thing. Where did we get the thing? Do you know? Is this helpful?
Is
The
that the card
cards!
from the carnivals?
It is indeed the cards from the carnival.
Yes,
Ah.
the cards from the carnival that Bula picked up, found on the floor under a bush when you first arrived.
You found the cards!
At Moira's enthusiasm, she's going through it. I found the cards, and she's gonna be like trying to hand them over because she has no idea what to do with them. She doesn't even remember why she has them.
Moira's gonna be like, well, I was about to head to the apothecary with Amaros. If it's okay, you guys deal with that. I would just really like to go to the apothecary.
Yeah,
If that's
yeah.
okay.
Got this. Got this. Galaxy is storming over.
Okay, so who's looking at the cards and who's going to the apothecary?
I'm going with Mora to the apothecary.
Cool.
But I will leave my card in. I'll actually leave it in Galatia's hands since she appears to be rather excited about the cards.
Yeah, so Bula has all the cards at the moment. So unless you specifically go and take any cards, then you don't have one yourself. It's just that they're just a group. Because you never got to see the cards and you don't know which one was yours.
I mean, we didn't get to see the cards. We just
Nope.
got to see tickets. Never mind. I was literally looking at the wrong thing.
So Moira and Amaris, will say Tisfan will go with you as well. And Galatea, Kane, and Bula, are you going to stay and look at the cards?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Even split. Perfect.
I think it's actually pretty sensible that Tisvan would go with at least Mora because
Yes.
the two of them started this whole journey together.
Yeah, exactly. The
Yeah,
three of you
completely
know
so.
each other a little bit more, maybe, or at least have got a little bit of camaraderie there, having spent time together, the three of you. So perfect. All right.
We play
So,
poker.
three of you, Amaris, Moira, and Tisfan, you head out the directions that Hannah gave you. You know the way you came, which will take you back, essentially through the town. And back towards the center where there was the cobbled sort of center of town where there was a well. And she tells you that the apothecary is essentially a house that has many sort of like mushrooms and flowers sort of growing on it. There's a building right near, just off to the sort of the south, southwest of the main road. So it should be fairly, and she said it's got a sign that tells you that it's the apothecary, so it should be fairly straightforward to find.
Does the path go, like, close to the tree?
No. So you can, the way that you came through is essentially down, straight down the path south of the house, and then through like a little back alley, because which takes you to the town centre where the well is, because that's the way that Johan took you to avoid the other guards and things and to go past the tree. So you can go down without going near the tree.
Okay, good.
So I'll move Tisfan.
Moira is kind of just nonchalantly leading the path away from the tree.
Yes, yeah. So you'll sort of see it in the distance. I mean, you can certainly see the top of the tree, and you see this purple violet kind of glowing flame that's on the top of it. But essentially, oh sorry, I haven't unpaused the game for you to move your characters. But yes, essentially, you'll see it from wherever you are, but you don't need to go near it at the moment. You can be the other side of the houses and stuff. So as you three of you head off into town, the three of you remaining in the house with Sahana and where's Sahana's piece gone?
You never dropped a token for
Did I not drop a token? I thought I had dropped a token. Hang on, let me just drop one in.
You
Oh,
haven't
there
even
she is.
dropped her in the NPC list.
I haven't drawn it in there. Okay, I'll have to add her in there. So the three of you. So are you looking at the cards? You just going through them all?
I mean, at Moira's dismissal of the cards and Alatia's new enthusiasm as well, Bula's basically just handing them all over. Like, just have the cards, I don't know what I'm doing, kind of like aggressive energy, but pointedly ignoring Kane still.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
So mean.
Okay, so so any of you looking at the cards? You handed them all over to Galatea, did you say?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
They're
Okay.
Studying every little tiny bit of these things.
Cool. So when you look at the cards, the back of the cards, which is what you've seen before, was just a nice sort of intricate pattern on the back of it. But when you turn them over, each of the cards, which has a ripped hole through its center, or to one not perfectly in the center so you can see it, but just to one sort of edge where it was pierced by the horn of the rabbit. You see each one is an individual card. So one of the cards, find the information here. Okay, so the first card, let me find the information. Okay, so the first one is has a name on it, which. Hang on 1 second, sorry. I thought I found the right information. I haven't. 1 second. Okay, so the first one that you see has a name on it. It's called the Beast, and on the card itself, you see a quite gruesome-looking creature with large fangs, a twisted body, and sort of tendrils coming out from its back. It seems to be sort of its jaws wide open, as if roaring or yelling, and looking quite gruesome. The second card is called the Broken One, and it features a humanoid man who seems to be screaming out in pain, but is almost a reflection, as the pieces of a shattered mirror make up this image. I'll show you these cards in a second. The third card is called Enchanter, and there seems to be a mystic or someone who has magical powers, a woman who is holding orbs around their body, glowing. The fourth card is called the Hooded One, and there is a picture of a figure, a warrior, with both hands held on the hilt of a sword, the sword planted down into the ground. And this figure has robes on and then a hood covering the top half of their face. They can see through a slit, but the lower part of their face is uncovered. The fifth card is called Necromancer, and you can't see all of the image because of where the tear has come through, but you see sort of like hands, and then below those hands you see two clearly deformed, dead corpses that seem to have been reanimated with glowing eyes and inscriptions cut into their forehead. And the final card is called Shepherd, and it shows a woman with a gnarled crook leading a flock of sheep or lambs through a field. And I will share these to you.
Oh. Yeah. I have so many questions.
So let me just do this. You should all have ownership to these in a second.
So you said we have no idea which card belongs to who?
No,
They were just picked as we...
the cards were picked in order, and they were going to be handed back to Madame Katrina, who was going to be doing the reading. But unfortunately, the bunny ran off with them before she had a chance to get to them. And unfortunately, because they are now not on the horn, you can't tell what order they would have been in. They're just, and you don't know what Bula's done with them since. They could have been shuffled. They could have been mixed up. You have no idea. Okay,
Yeah,
I think you should have access to all of them now. If you look at your journal, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 icon. It looks like an open book. At the top right, there should be you should have access to your journal entries, and there should be the 6 cards should be there.
5th entry for me, but yes, I see the cards on my end at least.
Yep. So you got all 6 cards. Should be
Beast, Broken One, Enchanter, Hooded One, Necromancer, Shepherd. Yes.
That's it. Perfect.
Yeah, I can see them all too.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Me too.
same here.
Awesome. So I'll share them to everyone because at some point I think all of you will see them anyway. So I'm sure you'll discuss them at some point. But yes, you look at all the cards and that is what you see.
If anyone, and I don't know if you want people to roll an insight for this Fey, because Kane is actively trying to hide his reaction to the hooded one card. He seems to be kind of checking that over for details.
Okay. Do you want to have a check to see if you know what it is, or do you mean other people to check it, to roll to see insight against you to see if you while you're looking at it?
I want to check to see what he's thinking of it, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's more. I mean, I will also maybe roll on it to perceive it better, but I am also actively trying to not be suspicious as I kind of worriedly cast my eyes over the card.
Okay, so I guess you would be a sleight of hand would be what you would be using to try and look, but not appear to be like seeming to take great notice of it. This one, like to hide your interest in it.
Oh, I'm ever so good at those.
I would kind of argue for stealth, but I can also see a lot of hand.
That's a lovely argument, but it wouldn't matter stats wise. They're both terrible.
No, that's pretty much me actually trying to learn as a fellow newcomer, as a DM, trying to learn.
I mean, it could be anything. You could make a justification for anything for what you're doing. It could be stealth. It could be that. They're both dexterity built options though, so the roll will be the same.
Yeah, I don't have proficiency in either of them.
Yeah.
I got lucky though with a 15, even with the -1.
With a 15, yeah. So you have a look at you're able to you feel fairly confident that you're able to look at the card with detail, but not look as if you're looking for detail, or to look at it nonchalantly. But if you want to give me a roll to see if you have any additional knowledge or anything that sparks a memory or anything, you can roll me either. Let me think. Either religion or history, I guess.
Was that for me?
Yeah, if you're taking in more of an interest, if you think there's maybe something there you might gather from it.
This may surprise you, Faye, but the cleric is going to roll religion.
Okay, that seems fair enough.
Ooh, 11.
I got a 13 in total.
13 in
That's not
total.
awful.
Not bad.
Perfectly middle.
I think possibly you might have seen some iconography maybe in your studies that maybe a hooded figure or someone wearing a hood has some sort of representation in different religions. You feel like perhaps it's some. It could be that it's a card that represents something like something about the hidden self, or perhaps something to do with facing an unknown. But you can't really ascertain any more than that because without any context for the card, it could literally be anything.
Kane is going to say under his breath, maybe at this point the relief making it so that he doesn't even try to say it quiet enough that the others can't hear him, but he kind of looks over the card with his knowledge of religion. A sort of visible look of slight relief washes over him and he says, that's not the one. Good.
Galatea just makes a little note.
Yep. Did you want to roll an insight into to see if you notice anything about Kane?
Yes, please.
Go for it. Nope.
I was so nearly 14 and then it was a 3.
I think you're
Interesting.
God.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I do think with him now saying things that even Ula would pay attention to what he said and roll just an insight as well.
Yeah, just insight. Yeah. Oh, it's pretty good. 17.
See, that makes more sense.
Yeah. So I think Galatea, you're just like, oh, cards, looking at them backwards and forwards and trying to understand what it is. And you're so focused on that, you're not really picking up anything from Kane. Bula,
Yeah.
you're more in tune with Kane, especially now that you remember him again, and you pick up, more than anyone else, having known him so long. Possibly little kind of things about him, the way that he looks at certain noises, maybe certain looks, certain like a raise of the eyebrow, something, some little tell that you pick up on, that he's thinking about this or perhaps see something here that's and from what he said, there's some importance or something that may be important there, and Kane, it's up to you whether you divulge anything more to Bula if you pick up on anything.
I think it would depend on what Bula said or done that would make Kane realize that she noticed.
Well, given that it was a 17 and she very aggressively noticed despite sulking, she's kind of gonna lower the sulk a little bit and nudge him with an elbow, like, what's the deal?
Sorry. Listen, Bula, I don't know if you remember what dreams I was having before we came to this place. I was just worried that this card may contain a vision of it, but it seems like a different entity, thankfully.
Bula will just kind of nod and then give him a little nudge as if to say, like, I'm not mad at you anymore. We're good.
I think Kane has another little smirk. There's a lot of smirks from Kane today, which is strange given how grumpy he normally looks, but he gives another smirk, and he almost has like a happy little shake, like a reset of, okay, we're good, right? No need to worry about Bula's mood anymore. We're back to normal. But then, as he's looking at the other cards now that his focus is away from the hooded one, I think maybe the natural frown settles back in as he concentrates.
Can I try and have a go at working out if anything on the cards remind me of something?
Sure. Which one are you looking at?
All of them? Is there one in particular that stands out to me personally?
I guess it really depends if there's any one of those ones that you think does mean more. Like,
God damn it.
Like if there's one particular card that you feel like imagery wise would be important to Galatea, because I want to jump back to the other guys as well in a minute. So if I just pick one card for now that you want to kind of look at and kind of get a feeling for.
Yeah. Cool. I think it's the broken one.
The broken one?
Given the mood that they had.
So yeah, give me. You can either have a religion or a history check.
I will choose history.
Okay. Oh, that's good. 19. Very good. So the imagery of the broken one, it's again, without context from someone who is able to read the cards, is still a little bit difficult to know exactly. But the imagery of this person who is in pain and this sort of fractured mirror itself, to you feel like it's it's a call to perhaps something that is currently best way of putting this. It could refer to a person or a thing, something that is currently not whole, something that needs to be fixed or repaired or brought together in order to be complete. But that completion comes with a solution to a problem that one might face. So perhaps it's telling the whoever's card this belongs to that whether it refers to themselves or whether it refers to something else, somebody that they know or they will meet, or something that is currently broken that needs to be repaired. There's suggestion there in the card that something needs to be fixed or mended before it can be of use.
Yeah. Galatea will look over to your hand and then out over to the front door and then back to the cards again. Deep in thought.
Cool. Well, while you're looking at those cards, we'll jump back over to the other three. So Moira, Amaros, and Tisfin, you carry on walking through the town. Again, you see various people who are sort of going about their daily businesses and stuff. There are a few children running around through the village themselves. A lot of people who just sort of, now that the day's got further on, it may be several hours since you've sort of awoke and been wandering around town. But there's definitely a lot of people who seem to just be idly milling about. Definitely people with not a lot of, not either no work or nothing to do with their time. And they seem to be just generally sort of hanging about, just loitering around, not causing problems or anything, but just taking up space. No one seems to have a real sort of purpose. There is, however, a few people in the center of town where there is market stalls, and there seem to be a few people who are whereas they were just sort of like stools that were kind of just sort of flat, ready for the next time there may be a market and not actually being set up. There are a few people who seem to be wheeling up carts and sort of prepping the area, possibly for a market at some point, but they're in the early stages of getting things together. But as you come into the center of town and you're looking towards the direction that you were given, Sahana, you do notice this building at the bottom here, southwest of the well, as she instructed. And it is a small single-story house made from wood with round wooden door at the front. It has a tall angled roof, very similar to a lot of the houses here. But this one's covered in very long green grass with many colourful wildflowers all mixed within it. And the roof, like the others, meets the ground on either side, giving it this very sort of, almost from one angle, might blend into the surrounding area. On the right side, there is it seems to be like sort of an extension that sort of juts out from the main part of the building, and it supports a large stone chimney. On its roof, it's also covered in wildflowers that blow gently in the breeze, and with the sort of the light, continuous rain, water sort of drips off in little droplets, like just falling from around the edge of the roof and above the door itself. Over the door, main door, you see a large sign in sort of green lettering carved from a single piece of wood that says Gardener's Salve.
Oh, this must be the place.
Well, ladies first. And Amros gestures towards the door.
I mean, I assume it's just like a door, you walk in, and not like a doorbell or a knocker.
There is no knocker or anything like that. The door just seems to open. There's no bell or anything on the outside.
Okay. Take a deep breath, and we're going in.
Perfect. And as you open the door into this, it's a slight creak to the door. There's a small jingle of a bell that was on the inside above, just alerting anyone. But it's very, very quiet as you come in like that. It doesn't make a lot of noise. It's a slow, like sort of tinkle almost noise. But what you do notice is when you enter this shop, you're greeted by a very strong but pleasant fragrance of herbs and flora. And when you look up, you see why. Dangling from the ceiling are many bundles of herbs and leaves, all sorts of drying in the air, giving the place a sort of a cozy cottage atmosphere. The floor itself is tiled with hundreds of small stones of different colours, and each one has been intricately laid out in a pleasing pattern. Lining the walls are shelves containing many small baskets, each with a variety of mushrooms, flowers, berries, and various flora. And on a central table there you see a collection of bottles and jars of different coloured liquids and salves. As you enter into the shop, you can see at the very far end there is a wooden counter, and behind it there is a creature in a large hat who looks like they are busily looking through pages of a large book.
Moira just kind of staring, standing in the doorway, staring like, oh my goodness!
Amros is taking it all in, but he's not saying anything as much as just looking around going, yeah, this is nice.
Moira is skipping over inside. Is there anyone we can see?
Yeah, so as I said, at the end of the room, there's a wooden table, a wooden counter, and there's a large creature currently facing away from you, but looks like have like a very large hat they're wearing, and they're currently looking through the pages of a very large book.
Hello?
And the figure will slowly turn round to see you, and put down the book they have. And as they turn towards you, you will see that in fact this large hat that this creature is wearing isn't a hat at all. It's a very large mushroom cap. And the creature turns towards you and looks over, and they say, "Ah, very nice to meet you. It is a pleasure to have such interesting folks in my store. Welcome to the garden itself. I am Cremini." And this character is about 6 foot tall. They've got creamy white skin that is pitted with small brown flecks. They've got large dark orbs like eyes which look down at you, with just a single ring of a gold in the center. And what you initially thought was their hat is a very large, tall yellow mushroom cap, almost like a witch's hat, with fluffy white scales on the top of it. And although they're not, it looks like they're not. Although you can see that only the top half of them, they don't appear to be wearing traditional clothes, clothes in the traditional sense. They've got a variety of rings and mushroom caps and frills that look like give the impression of a skirt, but growing from the body itself. And they've got fluffy sort of they've got a fluffy rounded tail that just sort of peeks out from the bottom of the dress. And you can't really see that at the moment because they're behind the thing. And this figure sort of looks over the counter down at you, Moira, because you're lower down, and you see they're wearing a set of spectacles with like multiple tiny little lenses at the bridge of their face. Although they don't appear to have a very prominent nose, there's a little like a notch there where the lenses, the glasses themselves seem to sit. And around her waist, although not part of her clothing, is actually a belt. You see a large belt that contains various bottles and leaves and petals and bits of root, all sort of like poking out in like little clusters. She just looks at you, and you're surprised to see that this person looks like just a giant mushroom. What can Cremini do for you, my dear?
Oh, it is very, very good to meet you. You have a very, very fine establishment.
That is very kind of you to say. Thank you very, very much. You are a sweet little mouseling, I am guessing.
Oh, yes, I'm a mouseling. My friends and I are not from here, not from Feywild at all, and I am a bit of a herbalist myself, a bit of a hobby, really. But I do not really know the plants of this region, so I was wondering if there could be some guidance in that.
Oh, of course, my dear. It is my pleasure to welcome people who have similar interest to my own. My store is a haven for people who like to indulge in collecting the shrooms and the flora of this land. I myself make many potions and sell, and I have much knowledge to give. Unfortunately, my dear, I only have a small selection currently. It is very dangerous to go into the forest, and I am limited on what I can provide at this time. Is there anything that you are looking for?
Well, mayhaps any recipes or maybe a guidebook with like pictures and information.
And she looks at you. Her eyes, very very large, peer down at you, and I say this little golden ring is the only kind of indication of where she's looking. But it sort of shimmers, and there's no eyelids, so she doesn't blink at all. She just sort of stares over the top of you. But she has a pleasant look about her. She's not like doesn't look creepy, but you feel like it would be. But for some reason, you get a kind of a warm vibe from her. And she says, the knowledge of this kind is hard to convey simply with a book or from instruction from me. However, I might have something that will aid you while you are here in the Feywild. Let me see. And she sort of shuffles to one side and roots around on in a cupboard. After a few moments, she pops back up again and holds up just slowly, slightly higher over her counter down towards you. And she says, I could possibly part with this. It has been very useful to me in learning the different places and the different flora and fungi that grow in this strange place. And she holds up basically which looks like a very like a light tan or khaki coloured gardener's apron, and it's got embroidered with like colourful little mushrooms in the corner, and it has like a single large pocket on the front. And she says, "This is a item of some magic that, if you are not sure what a particular flora or fungi may be, you can use its power by placing the item." Oh no, sorry, I'm reading this wrong. It will allow you to grow certain items. Unfortunately, it is random, but it will grow items from its pocket, and the information about what it is, what it can do, what it can be used for, will just appear in your mind.
Wow. Just heart eyes and just full on like fascination. She is very much enamored.
And she just hold it and she says, it is a little big, but it should resize to fit your body size if you wear it. Is this of interest to you?
Oh yes, certainly.
Very good. Now, my little friend, it's not, unfortunately, I cannot give this as a gift to you. I must ask for something in return. Is that all right?
Yes, I completely understand. We have been informed of the ways of this land. Now I am You will have to forgive me for, being new. I am not exactly sure on the if the thing that I offer is valuable enough for a a price. And what, she does her thing of diving into her bag.
And as you put your hand in your bag, she'll say, "Oh, I am afraid there are certain specific things that I am looking for. They may overlap, but perhaps I should let you know what it is that I would like in return."
Oh, oh, okay, that works too.
Ah.
What?
And she
would
puts
you
the
be
little
interested-
apron slowly on top of the counter and lays it out nicely. And she said, "Well, there are a couple of things that would suit me. Perhaps a memory. Just a memory from your past. Something that is maybe important to you. Something that you may or may not need to remember anymore. It could be your first kiss. It could be the moment you decided something life-changing. Or maybe something like the last time you were truly happy. A very personal memory. But if that is not something you wish to part with, I could ask for time. Not very much time, of course. Just a minute. A minute of your time. And if this is not also something you wish to part with, then I suppose I could let it go for a favor.
She thinks for a moment, and at the mention of a memory that she might not want to remember anymore, Moira kind of freezes completely for just half a second or less than a second, and again just the eyes become distant and stare into space. I might have a memory for you.
Oh, yes, which memory would this be?
This is player talking. How does this work? Do I just need to think about it, or does Moira say it out loud?
So you need to let them know what the memory is first, so that they can agree that that's the memory that they are happy to take from you.
Okay.
So your options are a personal memory, a minute of your time, or a favor.
I'll take the memory.
Memory? Okay.
Hold on. How do I tell this? Oh God. Whew. The memory of the feeling of a dying tree turning into ash in between my own fingers.
Okay. So you tell Cremini about this memory, and do you have a lot of emotion and personal investment in this particular memory? Is this something that's very important to you?
There is a lot of fear, uncertainty, and uh, just an element of the reason, the reason. Words. Sorry.
It's all right.
An element of the reason why she left.
Okay. All right. So you tell her this memory, and she looks at you, and turns to her side, to another shelf, and she takes a small jar from the edge, with a large sort of cork stopper, and she pulls the stopper out and holds the small jar towards you, and she says, "Just breathe into this for me, and that memory shall be your payment." And think of this memory as you do so.
There is a small moment of hesitation, but she finally.
And as you breathe out and you have this image in your mind, the glass, although you're breathing just air out, as the air passes over and fills this little glass vial, you see inside it, the air sort of becomes opaque, and you can start to see this almost sort of black soot-like color just swirling inside, very similar to the ashy ash remains of this tree that you had talked about in your memory. Just slowly spiral inside until you finish the breath, and Cremini just quickly puts the cork back on again, and then whisks the jar away and places it into one of her pockets. At that same time, all memory of that moment is gone from your mind. And you stand there blinking for a couple of seconds, not only not remembering what it was that you had offered, but also not thinking about or not really having any memory or connection, as you said, to that feeling, to that reason for coming on this journey, that thing that you were sent to do, that idea of what it was that was your goal is gone. And Cremini picks up the apron, leans forward, and hands you the apron, holding it out for you. And as I said, here is your beautiful apron. I hope that it serves you well. And that's where we'll end it for tonight.
Before, can I a little bit tell about the moment, right before the memory leaves?
Yep.
Just before the memory leaves, there's I imagine that it would flash before her eyes. The trees, they're dying. There's pain in the trees, and now it's just ash. Nothing but ash, and it's in my fingers, and it feels wrong. And it's dead, and it's dying, and everything is dying, and then the memory is gone.
And you have the memory still of the trees, but you don't have the memory now of that ash, that the dying, the memory of this moment when the trees became ash within your fingers, the death and the destruction that's happened. That memory of that emotion behind that is just stripped away. And you can decide how that affects you, because without that memory, without that the sadness and the worry and the anguish behind the destruction of these trees to your home, to these forests, without having that anymore, does that reduce the burden you have? You don't have that worry anymore because that does not exist in your mind? You can have a think about how that would affect your character before our next session.
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, but these Fey folks seem more and more mischievous by the session.
That's what they're all like. You can't trust the
we have a
Fey.
Fey leading the session, so of course they are mischievous.
And they're all
He says can't. Yeah, and he says can't trust the Fey. We just can't trust the actual Fey that we are physically talking to.
That's right. But thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your session today.
Yeah.
You have a question about that?
Lots
Of course
of
we enjoy it.
lots of new bits and pieces, more questions, more details.
So many more questions.
More
You're gonna end
questions
up
than
with
answers.
you're gonna end up with just questions, and will you ever get any answers? Who knows? It depends. You have to ask the right question.
Yeah, and especially with the add-in of, hey, you know how you have all these things to do? Let's just add another thing in with the cards that everyone forgot we had until now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that back in again. That's very helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I mean, I knew you wanted them back in. I had to bring them in my own unique little way. I couldn't make it all easy on you as the DM.
I mean, you didn't have to bring them back in. Like, you could have continued without them, but I feel like you may have missed certain important information if you don't. So it was. I'm glad that they did find their way back into the story.
This is perfect.
And we will pick up and see the decision that Moira made, giving up a memory for her new magical apron. So we'll see how that turns out for us next time.